Might as well have a quick look at this tip cleaner from Jaycar and see what it's like. Oh, I've got a spare ball of cleaner by the look of it. And the usual, everything's in plastic bags. This is nice new, I guess. So what do we do? Just poke that in there. See how that tip looks like. Oh yeah, it does a good job. And you don't have to keep remembering to wet the sponge, and the sponge wears out. Try it on the old part of the tip there. Yeah, it's a bit beyond it, but it's got all the main tin part nice and clean. Better than the sponge does, I think. So that's a good use of some old swarf type metal. Now, just worried about that. I think that's silicone rubber by the feel of it. Because I was going to say, if that's plastic, I don't want to burn it, but tip cleaner, no water necessary, anti-static, well it would be if it's just metal. So I guess even that, the rubbery bit could do something. Do not try to brush the tip across the brass walls. The heated solder will splatter, it is very dangerous. Do you know this cleaner as a soldering iron stand? Oh, well I just brushed the tip all over them. Do not pour water in the holder. The brass walls on the bottom plate of the holder will rust. Made of heat resistant and conductive silicone rubber, so conductive as in it gets rid of any static. Apply to the tip on the holder for a long time causes a deterioration of rubber quality. Do not touch the holder with a hot soldering iron tip. Waste solder particles collect in the holder. Be careful not to spill the waste solder particles onto your workbench. If you need to replace the brass walls, please remove and replace through the opening of the holder. Made in Japan. Well, I wasn't expecting to be made in Japan. That wasn't the cheapest thing, but Goot.co.jp. Made of low abrasive brass walls. No water. Cleans better than conventional sponges. I'd agree with that. Reduction in temperature loss compared with conventional sponges. That's a good point because you're not turning water to steam. The holder is made of heat resistant slip-proof silicone rubber that protects the tip from any damage. Push the dirty end of the tip in and out of the brass walls a couple of times to clean. Do not try to brush across the brass walls because you'll be flicking hot solder everywhere. I see, so you sort of stab it in there by the look of it. That probably makes a lot more sense in hindsight. So got to get in the habit of poke it in, rub it back and forwards a bit rather than scraping across, and of course the metal's springy. It's not particularly springy, but it's enough, I guess, like they say, to be potentially dangerous. How to replace the brass walls. Take out the brass walls from the holder opening. This should be done over the waste metal container because the waste solder particles will drop out or may drop out. And they've got a replacement part number, an ST40 BW, 2 pieces per set. Teo Electric Industry Co. Goot brand. It is Goot, as the Germans would say. Well, we'll try that out. I've got a spare sponge, that's a bonus. I'll put that in with my tools somewhere. Hopefully I can find it again in who knows how many years before I need it. That's always the problem, is finding the spare parts. Yeah, I think I can get used to the habit of stabbing it in there. I wonder if you could almost just put this in your soldering irons. A little tray there, I guess you probably could. In a way, I would actually prefer to have it where the sponge was because I'm just so used to put it in, do that. So maybe if it probably could be spread out in place of the old sponge. That'd be a nice bit of lead in that. I'm just wondering if I can attach that in there somehow. If you get that to flatten out, that would probably make even more sense for me, but anyhow, if we sit that next to the soldering iron, I guess I can get used to the idea of using it. yeah, I'm sure that'll become second nature eventually. So, it seems to be quite a good little product. The Goot ST40, looks like it's got a bit of a metal piece in the bottom to keep it sort of not so easy to knock around, and doesn't tip over immediately. It's got quite a good amount of pulling itself, a bit of weight to pull itself back in there and rebalance itself. Yeah, I think just poking the tip in there is probably a lot easier anyway. So that's that little device. You can get one at your local Jaycar store. I've been meaning to get one for ages and keep forgetting, and then I was walking in there looking for those clip leads and I saw it. So I thought, better grab that while I think of it. I think it was around maybe $25 or something, $25. Okay, so that's a TS1510 Jaycar number, $24.95. And being Japanese, it should be a bit better quality, so it's doesn't feel like a rip-off at that price. At least if it's a Japanese one, it's probably fairly well built. And I guess we should have a quick look at these. WC6010 jumper set of alligator clips, $7.95. And you can get some bigger ones. I was thinking of getting a set of bigger ones, but they're quite big and big thick cables. Really bigger than what I need. I don't think I'd ever use them, so I didn't bother getting some, but that's the first time I bought some of these since the 1990s. Probably the early 90s, maybe it was even the 1980s. I can't remember when I last bought a set. But they've done reasonably well to survive this long, even though I'm pretty sure some have gone missing over the years. These are probably a bit bigger than my old ones. Here's one of my oldies. Probably came from Dick Smith back in the day. There was no Jaycar local. Yeah, these are a little bit bigger and a little bit longer. I kind of like these small ones. I think these will work equally well to those other ones. They feel good, and they seem to, and the main thing is that the jaws don't go sideways when you open them up. They're a little slippery, as a lot of these plastic covers are. But the main thing is that these teeth come back together. Twisting a little bit there maybe. Let's put them on something hard. But they seem alright. And that's what you want. You'd hope by now they could actually manufacture a good alligator clip, but it's not always the case. But these do look like decent quality. This is why it sometimes pays to pay a bit extra and buy something local rather than getting the eBay special, which often turns out to be fairly low quality. I guess the other important thing to look at is, where's the cable? Yeah, it's a little bit in there. Not an awful lot of strands. Does it actually tell you anywhere? Probably in the catalogue it might tell you. Tekka Brands by Electus Distribution. Well, I think Electus Distribution was Jaycar. But it looks to have a reasonable amount of wire in there. You don't want too much in them because, if you do something bad with them, at least they'll act like a fuse and vaporise the wire out of them if there's not too much in there. Which I have seen done. Guy I used to work with used to put them across the fuse holder in microwaves when he couldn't find anything obvious wrong with them, in case it was just the door switches or something, and occasionally something go bang and usually vaporise the entire length of wire out of the inside of the insulation, which was quite entertaining. But I don't recommend bypassing fuses with clip leads, but it can be good if they're not too powerful, too big a wire in them, because they do act as a fuse if you really do something bad with them by accident. But they all look to be pretty good quality. What have we got? Red, black, white, green and yellow. So 5 different colours there. And 2 of each. So if you're really pedantic, you can use your red and black for power. Use yellow for AC, I guess. Green for earth. Don't know what white's for really, but no, they seem like a decent quality set. They'll probably take a little while to straighten out a bit more. I usually just hang them on a screw anyway. It's about the only annoying thing about them is probably need to clip them all to something and hang a weight on the other end, like a big nut or bolt or something they can clip onto, or just stretch them between something, spread apart that far. That might be the go, just to get them straighter, but it doesn't really matter that much. But no, I'm glad I finally remembered to get some of those as well. I think a lot of these old ones can probably be retired. Yeah, so these, you can see the clips don't fit together properly. I don't think a single one of them has the jaws actually meet properly. Mind you, they've had a lot of use, but I don't think the ones you used to buy were never very good in terms of that. Oh, that one's been bent. Yeah, that one's all bent. They're getting dirty. None of them line up properly. That one's hard to actually even press to work. But they do the job. And the biggest problem is they always disappear, so maybe I should just keep the old ones hanging somewhere so I can at least find something. Know what they're like for disappearing off the face of the earth. They're always still hooked to something somewhere. But so far that Jaycar set gets a thumbs up from me. It's not even worth trying to make them at $8 a set for 10 leads. That's 20 ends you'd have to put on, and you'd have to buy them. And I did buy these other ones. I mean, what does it cost? These are bigger. Actually, they're not. These are actually about the same size clip leads. Red and black pair, so it's $1.80 for a pair of them. No, wait, that's the LEDs. Oh, this is, so they put their prices above. Well, it cost me $4.50 for those. I should have just bought a second set of clip leads. I was thinking they might be a bit different, but they're the same thing, I think. Oh, I ripped myself off there. I should have just bought another set of clip leads, and I only bought a couple of them as spares anyway. It's a $4.50. That's, you know, more than half the price of a whole set of 10 clip leads. So if you need a few clip leads, it's actually cheaper just buy the whole set of clip leads. Then I would have had a few spares. And the LEDs, 40 millicandela, 18 cents each. That's all I went in there to buy originally. It was 4 of those, so it would have cost me about 80 cents. And I ended up spending 40 bucks. That's the risk of going to hardware stores and electronic stores. But I'm glad I got a few things that I needed on top of what I went in there specifically for. But that's all on that one, so thanks for watching.